What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I am finally reviewing The Last of Us Part 2. I bought this game on release day, okay? Because if you know anything about me or my channel, you know that the first Last of Us from 2013 is competition with just one other game as my favorite video game of all time. I adore the first Last of Us. It is a perfect game in my mind. It never had a misstep in my opinion, and I adore that game. So obviously, I was going to get The Last of Us Part 2 the day it released, and I did. I went up to that store, and you bet that I bought that game with cold hard cash, brought it home, played it. I beat it in 4 days, and then when it ended, I was pretty confident in my opinion. I was like, okay, this is what I think of this game, this is my opinion, let's do a review. And then, I'm not even kidding, I was setting up my equipment, getting ready to do the review, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna play through this game again. I need to be 100% sure. I don't want to give my opinion directly after finishing the game, because many times, opinions change when you give something a little bit more thought. So I played through it again, and it took me a longer time because I didn't have as much time in the days because school's about to be starting and I'm getting ready to do a bunch of stuff and like a ton of stuff is happening. Some really great stuff that, well, there will be another video about that, but back to The Last of Us Part 2. I finished playing this game for the second time the other day, and I gotta tell you, if you clicked on this video wanting me to validate your negative opinion on this game, like if you wanted me to talk about how the gameplay's good, the story's crap, the gameplay's good, the characters are crap, the gameplay's good, the writing's crap, you clicked on the wrong video, because that's not what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do is tell you how much I adored this game. I genuinely believe that people weren't ready for this game. Because the first game, yes, was very dark, it had some very dark moments, and you had to do some really dark things, but there was always a light at the end of the tunnel. There was always a sense of hope in the first game. There was always a sense that things might be okay. Everything might be okay. Even at the end of the first game, not gonna spoil it here, but even at the end of the first game, it's bittersweet, but there's still that sweetness. There's still that semblance of hope. You know, some kind of semblance of sanity. This game, no. And like I said, I genuinely believe that people just weren't ready for that. There is no hope in this game, okay? There are happy moments where characters feel happiness, but overall, no. No hope. Nothing good is happening here. There's no good people left in this world. That is what this game is doing. I'm gonna be very vague about the story of this game. Essentially, it is a revenge game. It is a story of Ellie. This group called the WLF, the Western Liberation Front, does something very, very emotionally horrible to Ellie. And it sends Ellie on this path of revenge through the city of Seattle. The game takes place over a course of 3 days, and we have to follow Ellie on this bloody, very, very bloody path of revenge. So it's a revenge story. But it's kind of a two-way revenge story, and I'm not going to say anything else, not going to talk about any other characters in the game at all. This is the most vague review that you're probably going to find for this game. This game ripped me to shreds. By the end of this game, I was just a heap of string on the floor. I was just completely 100% broken. I was shattered. This is easily the darkest game that I have ever played. This easily tops the first game in regards to how dark it goes. There was one specific moment in this game where when it happened, I had such a visceral reaction to it. I was physically repulsed, and not in a bad way. Like, yes, what happened was bad, but in a good way. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like it lended to the story. It grounded this world even more. When it happened, I lost it. I snapped. I was like, this beats it all. This is the darkest thing that has ever happened in any video game ever. I haven't even really seen something this dark happen in any movies, and I am not exaggerating here. But I don't want to go too deep into the dark stuff, because I feel like that's going to just draw the attention where it shouldn't be. It's going to draw the focus away from other things that really need to be focused on here. One, this game is much more of a character study than the first game. Don't get me wrong, the first game was very, very much a character study of Joel, but this game, because the first game was like 13 to 15 hours of gameplay, this game is like 30 to 40 hours of gameplay, and the first game is 13 hours and it takes place over 1 year. This game is 30 to 40 hours and it takes place over just 3 days. So there is a lot to explore here. This is very much a character study of Ellie and some other people that I'm not going to talk about right now. But essentially this game is exploring the theme of the cycle of violence and what long manifested hate can do to someone. Someone who has held hate within for so long and how that can destroy a person. And it is executed brilliantly. I wept. And I mean wept during so many moments in this game. I'm not even kidding. And I was home alone for a lot of the time while I was playing it, so I held nothing back in regards to tears and crying and yelling when something really shocking happened. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that if a game makes you cry, that is good. I'm not saying that. You know, a game being dark just for the sake of being dark doesn't make it good. But I can tell you, The Last of Us Part 2 is not being extremely dark just for the sake of being dark and shocking and super bloody and violent. It's being dark because it lends to the character study aspect of it. There are things that characters need to see happen in this game that if they didn't see happen, it wouldn't validate their eventual arc towards the end of the game. And in order for you to take sides with certain characters, you also need to see in full graphic detail what happens to some people that are close with some of the main characters. You need to see full on what happens to them in order to completely be on the side of the main character. This game deals very much with perspective. It tries to give you both sides of the picture, and again, I'm going to be very vague about this. This game dares to make you understand a person who does some horrible things. And I mean horrible things. But wait, doesn't Ellie also fit into that category? Didn't Ellie and Joel do some very horrible things in the first game? Yes, but was it justified? Yeah. It's the apocalypse, kill or be killed. That is very much a theme throughout both of these games. This is not an easy game in regards to its moral questions, things it dares to ask you to understand, things it makes you see, things it makes you think about, questions that it makes you ask about yourself. This game is taking so many risks, and as I said, I genuinely believe that people weren't ready for that. Let's get away from the story just for a minute, because I've already given my thoughts. I think the writing is great, I think the characters are great, I think it is a brilliantly told story, I think it is an amazing character study, it is very deep, very dark, very emotionally impactful and resonant. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about the more technical aspects. This is the best looking game that I have ever played in my life. No question. This is, without a doubt, the best looking game that I've ever played. This is a gaming achievement with what they were able to do with the graphics in this game. And here's the thing, with a lot of games, a lot of times the cutscenes look great, but then the gameplay is not looking as good. Not the case with this game, because with the PS4, it doesn't cut to black before a cutscene happens. You're just playing and then it kind of flows into a cutscene. And then you're not playing, and then like when the cutscene is over, it gives you control again. But it never cuts to black to give time for the graphics to render better. Since Naughty Dog didn't have that freedom with this game to cut to black, they had to make the gameplay graphics look as good as the cutscene graphics, and they succeeded. Every single portion of this game feels real. Every single chapter, like this entire game, it feels real. It feels like a real environment that actually exists. From destroyed cities to overgrown forests to raging oceans, this game looks beautiful. I've never seen more realistic looking character models in a game ever. I've never seen more realistic looking environments in a game ever. There is a part in this game, without giving anything away again, where you are riding a horse through this village on an island, and this village is being destroyed. Like, all these places are on fire, there are flames everywhere, all-out warfare, and you are on a horse barreling through the middle of it, and visually, in regards to the graphics, that is probably my favorite visual part of the game. It is flawless. I have never seen better looking fire in a video game, because fire is something that is very hard to animate, but they did it perfectly here. Also, just the way the characters move, their mannerisms, the way their faces move with what they're saying and what they're doing, just everything is... I struggle to find a problem with anything on a technical level with this game. Like, it is just... It's mind-boggling to me that they were able to do this. The gameplay is also very, very smooth. It is very, very sharp and poignant gameplay. When you are doing this, like many of the combat sequences, they gave you some new abilities. You can actually go prone in this game, which was really useful in a lot of parts. Just, it flows so well. Because the other game, I will admit, there are times when it was a little choppy, but that kind of lended to the first game a little bit. This, it's much more flowy, because in the first game you were playing as Joel. In this game, you're playing a large portion of it as Ellie, who is obviously much more agile than Joel. Also, something I probably should have mentioned at the beginning of this video is that this game does take place 4 years after the events of the first game. I'm just throwing that out there now. That is important for you to know. But yeah, the gameplay is super smooth, and oh my goodness, the dogs. The dogs. The enemies in this game have hunting dogs that can track your scent. And if that dog finds you, it will attack you, and these people are going to spot you. So you know where this is going. The dog can't be there, because if the dog's there, it's gonna track you down. You know where this is going, like I said. Yeah, you gotta kill a lot of dogs in this game. A lot of dogs. Why? Don't do that to me, Naughty Dog. You naughty dog. Haha. Yeah, the combat in this game is extremely realistic. It is brutal. And I mean brutal. And violence is very much a thematic aspect of this game as well. It's not being super gory and violent just to be super gory and violent. As I said earlier, it does lend to the story. So when you're going around and you have to take out these enemies one by one, it's honestly painful to watch. It's painful to do. You're like, I understand that I have to do this, but as you're doing it, you're like, oh my goodness, please just get it over with. I don't want to keep on doing this, and it's like, and that's good. You should have that reaction. That's the point. That's what they're trying to do. So yeah, gameplay-wise, story-wise, I love this game. Everything about this game, I love. And I'm trying to think of issues I have with it. Really, the only thing that I can really think of that is coming to my mind as an issue, but it's not really an issue because I understand that it had to be there. There's a couple parts that are kinda slow, I guess. Like, there's a couple things, but like, they're not bad parts. You can just tell that it is, like, it's not as fast-paced as many of the other parts in this game. And I'm not gonna downgrade this game for that, because I understand that it had to be there, and it's not like I was bored while doing it. I just recognize that this is slower than a lot of other parts of the game. So yeah, that's really all I can think of. I adore this game. This was my spoiler-free review. Like, look how long this video is. I mean, it's not crazy long, but it's longer than a normal review. This is my spoiler-free thoughts. So you can imagine what my spoiler-filled thoughts are going to... what my spoiler-filled video is going to be like. Yeah. Be looking forward to that. So guys, in the end, I adore The Last of Us Part 2. Like everything, I love this game. It is emotionally challenging, much more so than the first game. I loved it. I have no shame in saying that I'm going to give The Last of Us Part 2 an A+. Naughty Dog continues to be my personal favorite video game developer out there. I don't think they've ever made a terrible game. Has Naughty Dog ever made like a bad... I mean, of course, it's all subjective. But from my viewpoint, they've never made a terrible game. they're knocking it out of the park, man. Thanks so much for watching, guys. And before I go, I actually want to give a shout out to someone who I've been meaning to give a shout out to for a while, actually. I've been meaning to do it in my past couple of videos, and I just forgot at the end of every one because I just wanted to wrap it up. There was a viewer of mine who messaged me on Instagram, and just so you know, my DMs are open. He messaged me on Instagram, and he told me that he wanted to start his own YouTube channel, and he was asking me for tips and advice, which was great. Like if you're watching this video, thank you for even considering me to be like a credible source for that. He started his own YouTube channel. It is called Lightning Strike Studios. I will link it in the description below. Please go over there, subscribe to him, show him some support. He's just getting started and he could really use it. Thanks again so much as always for watching, guys. It really does mean a lot. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep writing, keep shooting, and keep editing.